and now I go to my subscriptions list. So I'm paying attention to what I'm subscribed to, and I'm trying to allow other people to introduce me to new channels. I'm also trying to pay attention. Like, I really like paying attention to people who pay attention to me.
Of course.
So I don't necessarily like. I don't like the feeling of paying attention to people and I have no way to provide feedback to them. It doesn't provide any meaning to me at all. So those are those are a few of my personal process or protocol for what I pay attention to. So like, attention is the most valuable resource in the world. We each have this personal responsibility of being careful about what we focus on, where we give what we give our attention to. This is like magic. And then if people can kind of their attention in kind of a cooperative way, they have like common goals, similar goals, and they're putting some attention toward those goals, that becomes even more powerful, right? So it's not as one individual, but many people who can help like bring some type of goal into reality. Some goals that can't be accomplished by an individual, but if you have enough people who are giving their attention to that goal, then you can accomplish some goal that wouldn't have been accomplishable otherwise. Attention is really powerful.
It is, and I think what's important is that you recognize that we already are segmenting our attention into mavens that we find resonant with either what we need to hear or what we're trying to say. And mostly we've been conditioned to file in as the audience and like just straight up funnel our attention into them, that platforms their ascent. And so seeing that that's the pattern humanity follows, until I find a candidate more worthy than myself, I must take up this hammer and be such a receptacle for the attention of potatoes until I can focus and harness it into something more productive. Hi guys, welcome back to the live stream. How's it going? What did I miss?
I like attention being the most valuable resource in the world. Absolutely true, because it has to do with our time, and you can never get time back, right? So it's at the very least the most valuable. That's so true.
We've been requested to smile, guys.
Hey, so if taking a look at the issue at hand, which is where do we look, what are we attending to, and then bringing in the idea of a maven, someone who's helping make sense of the world outside of your own expertise, which is, it depends on the circumstance. But let's take the step back and look at origins. Why does the need for sense making exist in the first place? What's causing that? So the
motivational force in the universe is anti-entropic.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's kind of a field of intelligibility. That's part of intelligence. Part of.
No, Gavin's raising his hand.
Are you raising your hand?
Yeah. So So the reason we do sense making, like, for me, it has something to do with accomplishing goals. So it's easy for people on the internet and the mediums to basically ask questions and talk about problems, but that's not how you accomplish. There needs to be answers and there needs to be solutions, and once you can start getting into that territory, that's when things
how are you selecting the problem space? That's the question we should probably try to address now. How are you selecting the problem space, and what are your goals, and what are you moving towards? Right, that question of how it is you devise in your mind this attempt to search for solutions to whatever set of problems it is, what causes that. And you can probably roughly subdivide it into like personal reasons, right? Where you have some inner sense related to responsibilities or this goal-oriented drive that you have. And that is what's feeding into the state that's needing to solve something. And then there are external pressures too. So how much you're aware of the external world and the state it's in, and how that's being depicted to you by whatever source you're looking at. And then that will exist as a kind of solution space, right? A potential solution space, set of problems that you have to solve. But then there's an interconnectedness there too, right? There's for Reiki's term, just transjective relationship. What's causing you to see those particular problems? And what are you hoping to occur as you approach them in solution, right? That's I guess it's a slightly more meta moment where you're taking a step back and look at motivations and origins. But yeah, it's an important aspect, I think, of doing it right.
You can give Gross a chance to respond, but
I had to spank someone in the hive
notes.
mind. Someone requested the spanking, and that it had to be administrated. I apologize for that. I don't think I've successfully made it so you guys can hear what the hive mind is doing to me. But you know.
Let me pull up this nonsense. Where are we at here?
delay. There's got to be a delay.
Some of the people in the hive mind have Tourette's, and others encourage that behavior. So it's just a resetting of loyalty points. If disloyalty is demonstrated, then I think a resetting of loyalty points is completely appropriate. Agent Holly Coco. I have to learn this whole language. There's this sticker language they have, Tyler. It's this cat I think she does that when she's, edging is the word they use in this chat. But I don't know, man. You can take the attention and try to focus it on things, but sometimes it rejects being focused on those things, and you have to spank it and otherwise manipulate. I gave that fucking clip. Remember, we had that talk, and I said, "Hey, can I use this piece?" No, you forgot talking to me, didn't you? You're just reading the chat now.
No. Yes, I do remember this.
Okay, that bit was about when we should and should not be manipulative. And I forwarded it on to Sally to do the artistic, after school.
I do remember you requesting that.
And she never did it because she didn't get the markers bribe. Like, UPS failed somehow, and she didn't get the markers and never did it. But that's exactly what I'm learning to exercise, is the when to manipulate and how to manipulate, as you discussed in that thing. This I'm doing with the hive mind. I think, there's this setting I can do that slows down how often the Tourette's lady can do the thing. You ever say something and, know that you've just, set a bomb for your future self? That just happened. Welcome.
This UI is a gaudy mess, by the way.
Yeah. The whole thing, to me, to be honest with you guys, I think, how Jeff Bezos is obviously Lex Luthor? Justin's son is obviously the accountant from the Batman with the Joker. Or the Batman Forever, Dark Knight. The Batman Dark Knight, the Asian accountant guy, Justin's son. Totally, man.
Got it. Okay. I'll go there with you, yeah.
I haven't found a crypto that I haven't found the sleaze attached to yet. So until then, I might as well be with the sleaze I'm comfortable with. And that's Lemon Laughter Soundtrack and Hive Mind Chat. But, Gavin, do you have my tweets yet? Jesus. You said it'd be an hour of your time.
This is where so if we talk about attention and problems, internal and external problems, and then this thing that is called distraction. What I find is that a lot of problems are basically the result of distractions. So even internal and external. And then if you try to receive information about external problems, most of those are distractions as well. That's what it seems to me. Like, so if I haven't been paying attention to the external world as far as like what people normally do, like receiving news, quote unquote news. So I tend to ignore news. So like external problems are like hailstorm came through, tornadoes, hurricanes, natural events, volcanoes, asteroids. Like these are real external problems. Like
infectious diseases.
I haven't had that one impact me yet. So
anyone you know?
Nobody I know.
Interesting.
I asked a friend who won't talk to me. I asked him last time I got to talk to him. I said, "Well, is there anyone you know that has been impacted by this?" And he did mention like my old guitar teacher had died from it. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what he told me. That's what he had heard. So if so you can get your news through your network. I think that the way that we get our news, we start to receive information that is very far away from us, and then we treat it as if it was next door. So like, that's not how we're wired. We're not wired to basically be concerned about what's happening.
Well, some of us are, and some of us aren't. Let me add that. I think
things you're ignoring, though. I should point that out. Every time someone tells you to pay attention to this, there's an infinite number of things that you're ignoring. And so what I try to remind people of is like of a question. It's like, how many innocent people died from bombs that got dropped by our taxpayer dollars? That doesn't get reported. I think it's happening, right? How many people got locked in a cage for growing a plant? Doesn't get reported. And I tend to lean conservative, so I like to say these things to conservatives. I like to be able to pick on my side, you know.
It does get reported, it's just not in the mainstreams, right?
There's a point. The point I got to, and I don't know who else gets here or if there's people that get past it. But what they show on the black screen altar through the cable is mostly, literally, weaponized disinformation.
Yeah, they're making money, is what they're doing, I think.
No, well, you have to get past money.
No, they're doing that too, but not very well. I mean, take a look at CNN's balance sheet for the past decade. It's not very impressive. And yeah, it's definitely the case that it's weaponized. It's definitely the case that we have, direct proof of the infiltration of so many news agencies by probably the smorgasbord of intelligence agencies in an attempt to influence people, both domestic and foreign. In 2012, I think it was, they repealed the Smith-Mundt Act, and so we could have domestic propaganda again. Which
brings me to LARPgate, actually, sir. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard of this LARPgate thing?
Maybe.
Well,
tell me about it.
To the extent that they're allowed to propagandize their own citizens, there's like a line of legality where I also can propagandize my fellow citizens. So LARPgate for me is exploring the boundaries of that line. I don't know if you're aware of this, but my understanding is that the United States almost had its own Large Hadron Collider. Almost.
Yeah. Well, we got smaller versions.
They built it under Waxahachie, Texas, and then said they lost funding and that it was never finished. I have reason to believe that they're going to fire it up in September. And that if I get enough people and we do a little dance around that thing when they turn it on, it will save billions of others in multiple other realities, even if nothing happens for us here. And that's the LARP gate. It's opening in September on Talk Like a Pirate Day. you should know those things. You should know. But I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay, well, that's just interesting. That's very interesting. In September, on the anniversary.
No, on the 19th.
Interesting.
I'm not really good at social, like, there was a thing you responded to in the Discord, or somebody's Discord once, about the PR. When I was reaching out for PR, that's the project. I'm reaching out for PR.
Emoticon for DM. You never DM'd me.
I have. I'm learning time management skills still, and discipline, self-discipline. They call it self-discipline, but I've learned that what I need to do to look at it in a way I can personally approach it is discipleship. When people say discipline, what they mean is discipleship. And if you're not a disciple of anything yet, you just don't know what it is. Choosing your own what to be a disciple of, is disciplining yourself, and then that's helping me step into it. But I've been like a lump potato for years at this point.
But this is invigorating you. This is pulling you up and pulling you towards it.
Yeah, I just, it's always been like a lot of the sitting around doing nothing was like, you only get one life, you have to pick something worth doing.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just become the thing that's worth doing is what's calling.